Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to make an announcement and let you know that I have started what is called a Patreon campaign. If you haven't heard of it, check the link below. It's really cool, simply to help support making content. It's something that I wanted to bring up because I wanted to have the advancement of where I am now and be able to give you better content, better footage, materials, and that's kind of just one thing I want to say, just to start off. And you know, everything is more than welcome and appreciated. And then on that note, I've got the pre-order for the scoops, as you can see here. You saw them before in one of my previous videos. I've got those in the link below. Click on that, get your pre-order in, and we'll get you on your way. And pre-order was gonna take a little bit, so obviously, hence pre-order. It's gonna give me an idea of how many orders we're gonna be looking to fulfill to start with. You do get a discount for the pre-order, so check the link below and you'll see the promo code. Apply that promo code, get your pre-order in. We're gonna start off with a few basic colors: red, blue, yellow, black, and an unfinished color. That way we can get those going. If you have a more custom color that you wanna go with, I've got a couple golds and pinks and stuff like that. Let me know. We won't probably do that immediately, but we'll definitely get you on there still at the pre-order rate, but that will be after probably we get the first batches out. And I'm putting that out there just because I've had a ton of people with a ton of interest and I want to fulfill that immediately. So get on it, get your pre-order in, and we'll get those taken care of one by one as soon as they come in the line of the order that they come through. So for those of you who have an outstanding order still, I do apologize about that. I do have a large shipment sitting at customs, and any minute now, you know, it's to be released and it should be out to me here, and that only takes a couple days, but I'm hoping that would be any time. And as soon as that comes, they're gonna be coming out to you, so I do appreciate your patience and your loyalty there. And then lastly, before we get into it, I am thinking about coming down to LA in a couple weeks. I'm thinking about putting a meet together and hosting something for you guys. So if you guys are down there, love to come down and meet with you guys. We're gonna try and get a group together if I do end up going, and I want to get, you know, I want to meet some more of you guys that I didn't get to meet, or that didn't go to Bimmerfest. And I think it'd be awesome just to kind of get a cool little shindig with some of the E90, E92s, or F30s, or all the BMWs really, and get the family together, take some pictures, maybe go on a little cruiser, grab something to eat. Look at this wheel fitment. Air ride, baby. What's up, everyone? So I've been getting questions on wheel fitment, and I'm here to answer that question. Wheel fitment. Now, it's mainly trial and error, just because it depends on, you know, what you're going for. So some people don't like, even like what I have, but some people want more, some people want less, some people want more tire, less tire, more poke, more stance, tuck, whatever. So there's a lot of things. So that's the first thing you got to establish. What do you want in the end? What do you want it to look like, or what do you want it to do? So let's say you got that figured out. Let's just use, for example, you want to go for a pretty standard setup. Well, I'll call it standard. So you want to go something that's not so wide. You don't want to go crazy on tires, and you want to have something that has great functionality. The way that it works is you have your suspension, your wheel, your tire. Those are the three main components. Your most important things are gonna be wheels and tire. Suspension plays a role if you are, you know, trying to play a game for clearance, for fitment, like stance, if you will. So I'm not gonna try and touch too much on that, but the main things just being your tire and wheel. Now for our cars, BMW 335i, E90, E92, somewhat very relevant in the size, very similar. Now talking about the wheel, first of all, you've got three different specifications. You've got your diameter, so it's going to be the overall size, as you can see, from one end to another. So you're going to have this as 19-inch. And then people are going to ask, 18s or 19s better? Which are the two most common sizes? Because BMWs also fit 17 and 20s, and I think I've even seen some 16s. I think it's personal preference. Tires are more expensive, wheels are more expensive. When you go up, I think 19s ride just fine. People think 19s are a little harsh. I've had 18s, and it's pretty much the same to me. The most common sizes ran are 18 and 19 inch. Personally, I like 19s because it just fills the wheel well a little bit better. It kind of fills it up Then you've got your width, which is when you take the wheel from here and you turn it sideways, it's the width from side to side. As you can see, it's going to be from left to right if you want to look at it that way. And then going with that, the last piece is the offset. Probably the most finicky, confusing on the offset. Now, by nature, your BMW is going to come with an offset that's going to be somewhere probably like plus 40. Now, what does that mean? So, the way that you look at an offset, as you can see here, is going to be, you've got the center of the wheel. That's where you have your hub connecting to the hub of your vehicle. When the two are connected, you have then the wheel on the car, obviously. Now, if you look at the outside of it, you have the outer wheel and then the arch of your fender. So this is where you have people trying to get fitment with offset. So as you can see here, as your offset goes lower, the bore of the wheel or the hub is going to then go inward as negative is shown, because 0 is dead center. So when you have 0 offset, it's going to be dead center of the wheel. Positive comes out, negative goes in. And what that does is you have more lip, more concavity, then it gives your wheel more of a stance, if you will. Now, the other reason why it's important is for clearance, whether it be suspension or brakes. So, brake clearance is important because you want to make sure your spokes or the wheel face does not hit the brake. Because as this goes in, it gets closer to the brake. And you want to have it come out just enough so it clears it. Same with the suspension, but with the barrel. That has not too much to do with the offset so much, but it does in the sense that if you have it be so positive, the entire barrel is moving inward. And that's going to then have clearance with your suspension if it's not done properly. It just goes further in. It's kind of confusing, but if you think about it, it's relatively simple in the sense that you have just the amount of clearance and how much of this lip you want and how much of the face you want going in or out. And that's where spacers come into play. Now, what are spacers? Spacers are these little hub-centric rings that literally go on the wheel hub. And what that does is it brings the wheel out. So from here, adding this on here, you'll easily see that it's going to just protrude out further and further, helping with clearance of brakes or suspension, or filling up the wheel well a little bit more. And then last but not least, on the wheel side of things is the tire. The tire is going to be pretty simple. You've got your diameter, which is, again, if you're running 19s, you've got 19s, 18s, 18s, 17s, 17s, 20s, or 20s, whatever it is. You've got your diameter, which is pretty simple. And then you've got your height. The height is important because you want to work with so much of this for clearance or how much meat you want. And this is kind of where people get confused as well. They don't know how much height to work with, so they have, you know, just enough so that it clears or whatever it is. You want it meaty sometimes, so if you're running the track, so when you're turning corners, you have the agile and the ability to be able to have contact all the time. Or in some cases, you want to have a lower height so that you can, like I said, clear the fender. So maybe for fitment or whatever it is. And that's kind of an important thing for a lot of people when it comes to fitting tires. You don't want it so high. You know, you'll see some of these trucks or, you know, off-roading cars where you'll see they're just gigantic off-roading style tires. And then the last part of tires is the width. So you want to correspond your width with the width of the wheel. They're not the same numbers. What you're going to see is you've got like a, for example, what I have. So these are 19 by 9.5, 20 offset, and the width that I'm running is 235 and the height is 35, and obviously the diameter is 19. So the 235, 35, 19 is where you're getting that. So with the width of the tire, I've seen people run 225 on this, 235, which is what I have. You can do 245, 255. I've even seen people run 265 or 275. So on a 9.5, those are all possible. It's very possible, and it just makes it more and more meaty the higher you go up. I run 235 just so I can get clearance on the fenders, because I want wider wheels in the front, and therefore it gives me the ability to have it so I don't rub on the fender line between the two when it's driving or when it's dropped or whatever it is. The last note on a lot of the questions I have is the all-wheel drive. So you have a rolling diameter of less than 1% that you can run in order for this to not mess up your drivetrain for the all-wheel drive. Or if you've ever had it happen before, as you're driving, you're gonna get this weird message that comes up that your drivetrain is malfunctioning, which you don't want ever to see. But that's what will happen when you have an all-wheel drive. So rolling diameter has to be under 1% for all four corners, so you have to have them match. And here's a diagram here. As you can see, this diagram explains a little bit more as to what's acceptable, what's not acceptable for the typical 18 and 19-inch wheels for the BMW all-wheel drive, or any really for that matter, but this will help you kind of explain a little bit more as to what's acceptable. So hopefully that answers that question. Now for wheel drive, it doesn't really matter. You can have whatever in the front, whatever in the rear, that suits what you want. So that's kind of the advantage there. I'm not going to get into the M3s because you have wider fenders. I don't have experience in exactly what works. And then on that note, what kind of wheels and tires should I get? So up to you. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but you can get something that's forged like these, strong, and what I mean by forged is it's the way that they were built. So you have cast, which is basically, long story short, the method of creation. They're poured and developed in a way where it's like taking hot metal and putting it onto, or I should say, it's like taking liquid metal and then pouring it into a wheel form, and then it dries, and that's what you get. Then you've got your forged, which, you know, an example would be you have a very strong material, then they've carved out a very strong or a design or whatever, and then piece it together. So that's kind of what you see here, and there's a very distinctive strength difference between that. So you know, obviously the cost is very in correlation with that, so it gets very expensive. What kind of tires? They have a million different, you know, they have a trillion different kinds of tires, so it's completely up to you if you want all season, performance, summer, winter, whatever it is, tall, skinny, different brands. Some people like, you know, Toyo tires, Nitto, Michelin, PSS. There's a bunch of them out there. Some are really well known for how quiet they are, how well they grip, how sticky. Completely up to you. They run from a couple $100 to almost a couple grand, so it's completely based on what you want. And then as far as fitment goes, you can obviously have it to be wherever you want. You know, I like it so it's not obviously rubbing on my fender. No one wants that. It's not an attractive thing. Some people want it, you know, more meaty, so you get less of the wheel, more of the tire, and that's fine, but that's completely up to you. Now, my intentions are not to have it be so slanted and cambered out and all that kind of stuff. That is unattractive to me. But so yeah, I hope that answers your question on wheel fitment in a nutshell. I mean, I did an explanation on the whole wheel and tire thing and offsets because that was a very common question that I've been getting, so I hope that answers your question. If you have anything else on that, drop in the comments below. I'd be happy to try and answer those for you. I hope you guys don't get a wheel fetish like me and go through a lot of sets, but hey, if you do, you learn, and you'll definitely know exactly, like I have, what sizes work and what don't. So stay tuned as we got some merch coming out. Give me a thumbs up, drop a comment, don't forget to subscribe. Follow my Instagram, Mashimaro, visit mashimaro.com, and then we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.